Welcome to the Chrysalis Temple, a sacred portal where the quantum meets the mystical. We awaken timelines, dissolve limits, and embody the frequency of your highest self. Welcome to the Chrysalis Temple Podcast. This is your sacred space for deep cellular remembrance, alchemical transformation, and a coming back to your divine feminine power. Welcome to another episode of the Chrysalis Temple Podcast. And today I want to get into the topic of shadow work. We're going to talk about what your shadow is, what doing shadow work is like, where the shadow really, originated, right? And and the reason for really what's been coming through for this episode is we are in the winter solstice portal. And this portal is so amazing, so potent and wonderful for doing shadow work. So, because, it's the shortest day and longest night. And this is the time that we take to really go inward, right? Really get cozied up in our homes. We don't go out as much. We're not as social, with the exception of, some of the holidays, right? But overall, it's a time that we do a lot of the internal work. We are in the process of this, of going through this metaphorical death. Winter is death. And we're in this metaphorical time of death, doing the shadow work in order to be transformed and rebirthed in time for spring. And the winter solstice is just such a wonderful time to do this kind of work, to do alchemy, right? So let's get into it. What is the shadow? So your shadow aspect, your shadow self is basically programs, wounds, stories that pretty much reside in the unconscious, right? And there are these programs where they are experiences like your experience that you've had, most likely from the time you were a child. Some of them may be even from past lifetimes that you've kind of brought into this lifetime. So they're aspects of yourself that have been kind of suppressed and repressed and put away into the unconscious, into a little box, because it was not safe to be that way, right? And these parts of yourself a lot of times have been really shamed. Most of us, a lot of us, have been shamed for these shadow aspects of ourselves. Meanwhile, it might not be anything so catastrophic and bad and whatnot. It's not bad. It's not a part of you that is, that should be felt like to be guilty for, right? But we have been made guilty or shamed for, or scolded, or whatever the process is. And we took that as this trauma, and we locked it away, and we said, this is not safe to be this way. Therefore, we're not going to do that anymore. We're going to turn on a different kind of thing. This is what we're going to do because this is what is accepted. This is what my parents accept. This is what society accepts. This is whatever. And we do that in order to be accepted, in order to feel safe. Because if you're not accepted and, you stand out, you're no longer safe. And the unconscious will do anything and everything to really, truly protect you, to keep you safe in its own way. And so these aspects, we lock them away and we compartmentalize them and kind of create the fragmentation within our soul with these shadow aspects. But doing shadow work is bringing these aspects back, like bringing them into our consciousness, into awareness, and really truly accepting them, giving them love. Because behind this shadow, like ultimately all of it is not feeling loved, right? So we bring up these aspects in order to see them, in order to accept them, in order to love them, in order to see them, witness them. And once we do all of that very consciously with the body, not just saying through our mind, here, I accept this, but then you continue to act out in this protective mechanism where, again, you're keeping the shadow in the unconscious, right? So that's the part of the shadow work, and sometimes it's very uncomfortable to do that, right? It can be messy. It can feel so ungrounding, nerve-wracking, in order to bring these parts of ourselves to the surface and be like, oh, this is what I have to accept, right? It looks so ugly and unlovable, but behind all of that is still it's that little girl or little boy, like your inner child, that just wants love and acceptance and to be seen by the people who are there to protect you, who were there to protect you. You want to be loved and seen and accepted by them. And it feels so, because all of us still, to some extent, always, when we get triggered, that's our inner child. We revert to that inner child, right? And we're like, this is my coping mechanism. This is what I learned to do in childhood. So therefore, I'm going to be triggered again and I'm going to react this way. But when you learn to do the shadow work, you learn to accept these parts of yourself and to really transform it. Because when we're talking about doing your shadow work, what you're doing is you're transforming all of these parts, or one by one, right? Usually you work one by one because you can't take all of that, everything, and at once just it's a lot. It's a lot on your nervous system. It's a lot on your mind. It's a lot on the body to go through this, because a lot of this has to do with embodiment, really truly feeling it within the physical body, within the nervous system. You're bringing back that regulated part, because a lot of the shadow aspects, it's survival. You do that, it's a protective mechanism, therefore your nervous system is in survival. And when you're coming out of survival, right, and coming back to the safety, it can feel like a lot. It can feel like so much is coming up, and it can feel very ungrounded. Point is doing one by one. You take one aspect, right, whatever comes up, and you work with that until it is embodied, until it is fully accepted, and you feel that viscerally, right, on a cellular level. And with that, once you transform that on that cellular level, it transforms into your gift, your power, because that's the secret here. These shadows, these wounds, these triggers that keep coming up, they are here to teach you some kind of a lesson. And once you get the lesson, once you break the loop, once you recode it, it becomes your power. It becomes your gift. Something that you might have been shamed for as a child is most likely the gift that you are here to bring into this world, to share with the collective, to share with society, to bring it forth. And that's the power of doing the shadow work. You're doing it in order to transform it, in order to accept it and transform it into your gift. And once it is transformed into this gift, it becomes a remembrance, a cellular remembrance. You're like recoding the quantum DNA. And once that quantum DNA clicks into place and you get the actual code, it bloop, drops in through the consciousness, activates, unloads, unpacks within the body, it becomes a remembrance. And all of a sudden you have access to information, physical, cellular access to information that you didn't have before. It literally works with your body. And that's something that us women have to come back to this knowledge. Because most likely, whatever the wound is, whatever the shadow is that needs to be transformed into these gifts, and that kind of remembrance that it brings, most likely it is like a carrying over from your past lives. That's why it's a remembrance. You already know this. You already have this information. You've had this information from the moment you were born, but this just had to play out in this kind of way in order for you to learn, in order for you to embody it even better this time around. Does that make sense? You embody it, you bring it forth, and it just you become like a stream of like consciousness. You are a channel of this knowledge. And most likely, if you resonate with my videos, with the things that I'm sharing, most likely you have that knowledge. And women do. So many women are really, truly the seers and the oracles. And the knowledge, gnosis they carry just through their body. I mean, really, truly, think about it. All that we are capable of, and all of this cellular memory that we have. I mean, we literally from so many generations carry all of this knowledge, right? I mean, we existed within our grandmother's wombs. And imagine all of that being passed down. Some of these shadows might be ancestral patterns that you have to work through, right? And once you unpack all of that, it just... And once again, you get working through those shadows, working through the ancestral patterns, you unlock the ancestral wisdom that you are here to bring forth. So it's really this beautiful time to just step in and do this kind of work. So I hope this explains really doing what shadow is, what your shadow is, right? The transformation. It's really like shadow and light. They're literally like the two sides of the same coin, right? The two wings of the same bird. They exist together. And so the more you embody your shadow, the more you can embody your light, your gifts. And like I said, I hope this is really landing for you and resonating that what the shadow is and purpose of transformation. Because the more work you do on this, the more you accept these aspects of yourself, right? That the people pleaser, the suppressing a lot, what women have been shamed and guilted for is anger, right? Look around, how many women have been made to feel guilty over expressing anger. And that suppression of rage, of anger, of, being the people pleaser, whatever the aspect is, right? Being the good girl, the good one, the proper one, the happy and everything is great, and just being absolutely this little angel in everybody's eyes. Meanwhile, deep down within the unconscious, within your body, there's so much rage that you want to bring forth, and that's the shadow. And you have to bring forth that rage in a safe way without bringing harm to you or others. And so doing shadow work does that. You bring forth all of these aspects that have been suppressed, that you've been made to feel guilty about. There's nothing to feel guilty about, right? It just things that need to be expressed, accepted, and where you need to bring more love. More really putting yourself first for women is top tier, right? Taking care of yourself. Because when you take care of yourself, when you take care of your needs, of your desires, you will have an abundance of energy. You will have an abundance of life force flowing through you, through every cell of your being, in order to then bring it for your family, bring it for society, bring it, materialize it into the physical world. So, doing shadow work, once again, working with one aspect of the shadow. So, getting to that shadow, right? Bringing it into consciousness, seeing how it actually is manifesting itself in your life right now, consciously, how it's manifesting. So maybe it's the people pleasing, maybe it's self-sabotage, maybe it's, suppressing your anger to the point where the anger is coming through physical body symptoms, right? You have to analyze and bring all of that through awareness. You can do that, once again, journaling. Journaling is a good one. If you feel you cannot consciously unlock the unconscious patterns and you're not seeing that is when you, I would recommend getting outside help to help you to bring these shadow aspects to the forefront, where you can see that these are your shadow aspects, right? If you're not seeing that, if you have an awareness of these things, so journaling about it, journaling and letting all of that be revealed. You can ask for it to be revealed through the writing. You can, if you have physical symptoms that you're seeing, because a lot of what I went through personally, it came out into physical symptoms. And the body was screaming look at this, look, finally feel it, look at it, see it, right? Screaming at me. And so if you have physical symptoms, you can journal about that. You can, without journaling, you can go into a meditation. You can do a meditation, right? If you're good at meditations. Meditation is also something that you can kind of, I know not everyone is that great. We're not talking about just visualization, but getting to the point of a meditation where you can go deeply inward. And these things will be revealed. You can ask for these aspects of yourself to be revealed through a meditation and jot it down, or if you remember it, great. You can then ask your guides, your higher self, to come in and help you to accept and heal and transform all of this as well. And then another thing, of course, is once you get through that, you have to get into the body, right? In order to embody it, you have to live it. So what will happen is you will be, so-called tested. Have you embodied it? What is going to be your reaction next time the same thing happens, where you go into that self-sabotage, into that people pleaser, into that? How are you going to react? Are you going to react and become triggered and revert back to that hurt inner child? Or are you going to respond and come from a embodied place now? Are you going to set a boundary? Are you going to stay calm? Are you going to breathe through it and allow all of that emotion to flow through, instead of spiraling, instead of, once again, looping in that same story? So these are the things. And then working in the moment when you feel triggered, when you feel that you are reverting back to that same, right, reaction. Remember to go into the nervous system. Breathe. Move it. If you're feeling, go for a walk. Go do some punching, kickboxing. I don't know. Pick up a physical activity that resonates with you. If it's, for me, I love just free dancing. Like if I feel sometimes within the body, I'll just go do that. And then, of course, doing breath work and my embodiment practice. Sometimes, movements where like Qigong movements, if you're familiar with Qigong, do those. Like chopping, if you feel so much anger or frustration just moving through you, like chopping wood, like, and just keep going through that, like, get all of that rage out, right? That's the whole point of all of this, is that you move through this, you transform it, you let the body move through it and recode it in your nervous system differently. And once you recode it in the nervous system, it is going to recode in the unconscious as well. And yeah, so these are some of the practices. Of course, like what did I mention already? Journaling, moving the body, all of these things. If you feel you need extra help, yes, do reach out to a professional that is going to help you to bring out these shadow aspects in order for them to be transformed. And so once you have done that kind of work and you see that and you embody it, you will begin to embody that light, those gifts, that power that comes with that. And it will become a cellular remembrance. It will become really just bringing forth and truly channeling this wisdom that you already hold, that really those quantum codes.